I've designed a murder room or two in my time. Well, that's the nickname I've given them. Usually it's a basement with 4 walls of solid concrete and adhered sound-absorbing foam. Then, depending on the client, wood frames, drywall, or a visible set of foam. The floors are usually carpeted, but in some cases, it's an easy-to-clean material like linoleum or hardwood. After that comes the racks, the stocks, cages, shackles, or whatever else they can dream up. There are never actual murder rooms, at least to my knowledge. They're sex dungeons. But considering a good chunk of our clients are on the older side of the scale, I'm going to stick with calling them murder rooms. This client in particular was different. A young millionaire in his late 20s who owned some sort of tech patent. He wanted something special done in his recently purchased mansion. "I want a 1920s speakeasy in my basement," he said with childlike glee. We were standing in the middle of his kitchen, staring at piles of concept art and blueprints. "I want to dig out a large section of the lawn here and put in a soundproof room. I'm thinking rectangle shape because I'm putting a grotto over there." Mike, my business partner, snorted. "You have lots of ifs on this one. You have to run power, ventilation, and more than likely water into it. That's the easy stuff. If you want to add on to the basement, you're going to have to tear a hole in your foundation. That's the dangerous bit." Our client frowned for a moment. "Money's not an issue. Can it be done?" I took over at Mike and we both nodded. This is America. If it isn't an issue, then anything's possible. The child's smile returned to the man's face and he replied, "Great, well, let me know what you're working with." We went down a flight of stairs into the basement. The entire place looked like it had just been steam cleaned. The pristine gray cement practically shined from the hanging fluorescent lights. The only furniture was an old water heater in the corner, 2 metal boxes stuck to the walls, and a brand new plastic toolbox. One of those metal boxes was a fuse box. The other made no sense with 2 copper pipes jutting from its sides and a glowing green light. "Why do you have 2 hot water heaters?" I asked. The man shrugged and responded, "Don't know. The property manager decided to go tankless and couldn't be bothered to move the old one, I'm guessing. That's actually one of the reasons I wanted to bring you down here. Do you think the old one can be incorporated into the plan? Like used as a fake door?" "Money's not a problem, right?" I asked. Mike was wandering around the room, staring at the blueprints, then back up at the walls. "We could probably rig something up, put in a fake base. I gotta ask, are you totally adverse to the idea of a new wall? It will be much cheaper. Also, doubt that you'll need it, but it would add extra support to the top floors." The man shook his head. "If it has to be done, then so be it. By the way, I want this thing to work. I want to have a new room." I shrugged. "Just saying, if that's the case, we're going to have to add on to the foundation, put up brand new walls, maybe even—" "Mike, what the heck are you doing?" I turned around to see Mike stop mid-goose step. He looked up at me and laid the blueprints on the ground, and then reached into the canvas tool belt he was wearing to retrieve an orange plastic tape measure. "Hold this against the other wall." While our client stared into silence, I ran to the opposite end of the tape measure to the wall by the old water heater, while Mike went to the other side of the basement. He looked down at the measurement and furrowed his brow. He let the tape rewind itself with its metal T-chuck before walking back over to the plans, studying them, and looking back at me. "This basement is supposed to go on for another 20 feet. I looked from him to the client and then to the wall. "Are those up to date?" I asked, pointing out the blueprints on the floor. The client half stammered, Yeah, I picked them up from the clerk's office yesterday." I started to tap my fingers against the wall. It was solid concrete. "What's the date on them, Mike?" I asked. More concrete. Let's see, 2004? "This thing seems solid. Mike, check the other one." "Does this change anything?" the client asked. I shook my head and replied, "Depends. Wouldn't be the first time someone worked on their house without notifying the government." Why would someone do that? The client asked. Tax reasons, mostly. I looked over by the water heater. Hey, Mike, come here. Mike and the client stood next to me with both confusion and curiosity plastered on their faces to see what I was looking at. Have you ever seen a pipe like that? I asked. A thick black metal pipe ran from the water heater directly into the wall. It was too thick to be for water, and the placement of it was all wrong. Can't say I have, Mike replied. The two of us looked around the water heater while the client tried to mask the excitement on his voice. Do you think someone already put up a new wall? I shrugged. Maybe it's as I said before, it's... Mike and I jumped back from the heater as it jumped an inch forward, swinging on my suggested fake base. We all stood stunned as Mike reached and swung what should have been a few 100 pounds of cast iron and adjoining wall forward with one hand. Behind the fake wall stood a steel bunker door. Okay, who wants to open the creepy door first? I asked. Mike reached into his tool belt and removed a claw hammer. Really? I said. Yeah, really. The client ran over to the toolbox and retrieved a hammer of his own. I walked over to the door and put my hands on the wheel that acted as its handle. It turned easily, and the door swung forward almost on its own. The second thing to hit me was the stench. The first was a half-decomposed body. I threw the body off of me, and the three of us ran to my truck. We made it a few miles down the road when Mike called the police to hysterically let them know what we had found. I may have built murder rooms, but that was the first time I had seen one that had been used. Behind the steel door was a dungeon. In total, there were 9 bodies strapped to the walls by manacles bedded into the foundation. There was also a set of manacles that had appeared to be picked open, which they guessed belonged to the body that landed on top of mine. Also in the room had a worn wooden stool, an assortment of tools, and a powered-down webcam. The theory is that whoever owned the house before would lock people up and then turn on the water heater, which turned out to be a well-disguised fireplace. Smoke would leak into the room through the strange pipe and suffocate whoever was inside. The owner would then watch the whole thing live on the camera. That was the theory anyway. The house was taken by a bank in 2004, and the original owner had the new blueprints drawn up to get a fair price. The ones that showed a regular-sized basement? It sat empty, being watched over by a property manager until a few months ago when our client purchased the home. The bodies ranged, judging by decomposition and the clothes they were wearing, from 3 to 10 years old. Whoever was running the room had been active well after and only after the house was taken by the bank. Then there's something Mike told me a few days ago over beers. When the door was opened, for a split second, he could have sworn the room was lit up red. Hey guys, listen to me speak here. I just want to thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. We got 115 subscribers tonight that I'm recording this, and I'm super excited about it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you guys have a good one.